Peace and blessings. Welcome back. Today we're talking about unlocking your butterfly energy. Now, butterfly energy has come into your life. You are being called to transform your inner self and your outer self, your external world as well as your internal world. Ephesians 4:22 says, "You were taught with regard to your former way of life to put off your old self, which is being corrupted by its deceitful desires, to be made new in the attitude of your minds, and to put on the new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness." Okay, you really want to kill your old self. You want to destroy your old self. You want to be born anew. Okay, you don't want your past self holding you back from your future. You don't want your past self and your past guilt still affecting your decisions now, your past mistakes still affecting your life today. It's possible to change your ways and change your mind and change your attitude, and butterfly energy can help you do this. They embody this energy. 2 Corinthians 5:17, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come." So you can start working with butterfly spirits, butterfly familiars, butterfly energy when it's the time in your life to make new things. You want to start a new path. You want to transform yourself into a better version of you, to align back with your higher self, with your divine self, with your holy self, with the part of you that is connected with nature and source. You can begin working with butterfly energy. And if you've been seeing a lot of butterflies, it's time for you to embody that energy. Romans 12:2, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect." Okay, you ascend and you raise your consciousness, your vibrations, your mind, your spirit through testing. It's not necessarily through the Bible or through church or through meditation or through eating right. Okay, it's a bunch of different scenarios. That's why there's ascended people in all different cultures, right? All different races, all different genders, okay? Because it's through testing. It's not through necessarily a certain belief system. It's about using your discernment and walking in truth, knowing what is good and acceptable and perfect, knowing what it is you're capable of, and knowing when people are trying to deceive you, and knowing when your old self is trying to deceive you. A lot of times our biggest enemy is ourselves, so we have to transform into newer versions of ourselves that are more good, more acceptable, and more perfect, and leave behind these stale and mundane and wicked versions of ourselves, the lazy versions of ourselves, the procrastinating versions of ourselves, the weak and timid versions of ourselves, the unholy versions, the unrighteous versions of ourselves, and move on to something better that is more suitable for our soul and our spirit and our current circumstances. Butterfly energy, in my experience, is very rare on the planet. If you are around a lot of butterflies, you're around a lot of people with butterfly energies, my personal advice is for you to stay in that energy as long as you can. You may not feel like things are good or acceptable or perfect right now, but I'm telling you, if you could time travel, you will be able to understand your current scenario is really good. We can sometimes fall to greed and just want it to be better. Nothing's wrong with that, but a lot of times we have to stay grounded and understand our current situation is really nice. And sometimes it might take 5 years or 10 years or 20 years for our energy to even get back to that point. This butterfly energy comes and goes in our life. But if you can stay with that butterfly energy, really embody that energy and appreciate that energy and realize it is good and acceptable and perfect, okay, I do advise you to stay in that energy for as long as you can, right? A lot of times we will lose good things trying to chase something better. We'll lose good things because we're not as holy as we could be, as righteous as we could be. We don't appreciate the things that are around us. We should really appreciate this butterfly energy that comes into our life and allows us to transform, but we also have to do the work ourselves, you get what I mean? But we can be assisted by butterflies, but once you do begin working with butterfly energy, you should put that in your subconscious mind. Not too many people fear butterflies. Butterflies are a perfect energy. It's a perfectly good energy. They're safe. They don't bite. They're not predators. They're very beautiful creatures. I understand most people just don't like insects, but even the people who just hate insects usually are okay with butterflies. I'm not going to speak about 100% of people, but I think at least like 90% of people are okay with butterflies. It's a very peaceful energy, a very light-hearted energy, a very freeing energy. Butterflies come into your life. Recognize you are free right now. This is your time to be free, and you should try to stay with that energy. It's your time to be lighthearted right now. It's time to not take things too serious. Honestly, things are going in your favor right now. The universe is in your favor. So I'll try hard to not ruin that energy. Butterflies also can represent dreams and illusions. There's a such thing called the butterfly effect, which is just stating that a small change can have big consequences. Small changes can change the whole world. So if you're working with butterfly energy, keep making those changes. You are doing great changes. You're doing positive changes right now. You should keep doing those. Try not to get so caught up on trying to change the whole world. Look at the bigger picture. These small changes add up. These small changes can affect a lot of people, millions of people. Over time, these small changes can affect your life greatly and completely transform your life into something better. If butterfly energy does come into your life, realize you are living in like a dream-like state right now. You may feel like you're fully awake, but a lot of people are going through way worse circumstances than you. A lot of people don't have such good energy as you truly, but that's not something to be negative or to be boastful about or to be prideful about. You should be grateful and try to take it in a graceful way. Butterflies are very graceful. If butterflies do come into your life, the universe is really telling you that you are above the negativity. You have defeated the negativity. So you should try to not bring that negativity back into your life. Don't be the catalyst of negativity. Life is going in your favor currently. But as the butterfly effect says, things can change very quickly. So just know things are changing for the better. Things are changing in your favor. Things are changing to transform you into a better person. You want to allow this energy to keep harvesting. You want to allow this energy to keep growing in your life. Butterflies also represent illusion because spirits can come into your life. Positive spirits or negative spirits can come into your life and change things that you might not see, that the mass majority of people may not see. And these changes can take big effects, either positively or negatively. There's real butterfly energy, but there's also like imposter, fake butterfly energy, simulation like butterfly energy, but when you're dealing with real butterfly energy, it's nothing but positive. But this simulated butterfly energy can appear as positive and as good, but they're really trying to put you to sleep. They're trying to put you in that dream state so they can take advantage of you. You really have to use your discernment to decipher real butterfly energy and fake butterfly energy. MK Ultra uses butterflies as their logo and things like that. A lot of people in power, try to take positive symbols and turn them negative. They try to turn this pure, beautiful symbol of a butterfly and they try to turn it into something negative. Same thing with many symbols in our history. So if you see a real butterfly, that's the real energy. But if you see these butterfly symbols or maybe some butterfly tattoos, it could be someone trying to deceive you, but you can't be deceived by real butterflies, real life. That's just the main distinction I want to tell you. That real butterfly energy is real good. This fake butterfly energy, is the evil of the world. You know what it is, They try to take everything good, because they can't make anything good themselves. You know how it goes, but I'm not trying to be super negative in this video or nothing, but I do want to just tell you the truth, But this is an energy that's been healing me lately. I've started to come back around to this energy, to invite this energy back into my life, to allow this energy back into my life. I've been feeling transformed. I've been feeling revitalized. I've been feeling rejuvenated. So I would recommend you to start working with butterfly energy, butterfly spirits, butterfly gods, to take on this energy and to allow yourself to transform and to rid you of your old self, your old negative self. We don't need that anymore. We don't have any time for that. There's no place for that old version of you anymore. So step into your power. You get what I mean? Butterflies can help you do that. All right, one of the first things people notice with butterflies is their patterns. So if butterflies have been coming into your life, that symbolizes that your patterns have been very good and acceptable and perfect. You should keep doing those patterns. That means you know your path already. You're doing the steps to accomplish those things. So butterflies are coming in your life to remind you of that, keep going, keep doing those positive things. Now, if you want to begin working with butterfly energy, you should start developing your own patterns, your own good patterns. Start doing these things every day. Start doing these things weekly. Start doing these things monthly. There's various different cycles and patterns in our life. There's the monthly cycles, there's the yearly cycles, there's the sun cycles, the moon cycles. Females have their cycles, males have a cycle too. There's all these different cycles and patterns. So it's very important for us to connect with nature and develop our own patterns. The universe is really built off of patterns. Butterflies also eat nectar. In a lot of mythologies, people consider nectar the food of the gods. Butterflies, in a way, eat the food of the gods. So butterflies are reminding you have a seat at the divine table. You have a divine right to be eating with us, to be prosperous, to fill your belly. Now, food from God is a very special concept. In the Bible, they call it manna. It's bread. Once you get to this spiritual state, God will really start cooking for you, start giving you food that you don't eat with your mouth. Food you eat with your spirit. They say men can't survive on flesh and bread alone. That's a level that you will get to one day, when God starts cooking for you. We were made in God's image. All the things we like, most of the things we like, he likes too. From my own personal experience, he likes to cook. You get what I mean? I don't want to spoil your path or nothing, but I'm just telling you, butterflies are reminding you you're on a good path. You're in a really good energy. I would anchor myself in that energy if I was you. You get what I mean? I wouldn't want to go nowhere else. That's a very good energy. Let these things come to you. You're doing great, truly. Butterflies are in your life. Peace and blessings. Till next time, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.